Well, looks like ViDu Q2 dropped. Heck of a way to announce it. It's pretty good. It's kind of whoa. Okay, well, okay. So it's got some anomalies, but you know what? I kind of like. Is it hot in here, or is it me, or what's going on exactly? I don't. I'm not feeling 100%. Hey, what the hell's going on here? And that's a look at my pretty darn weird vacation. I hope you enjoyed that. Welcome back to the channel where we discuss the creative uses of AI, and I hope that you can set aside some time to hang out with this video today, because I'm going to show you some stuff that is so cool, at least to me and those of you who may have my similar sensibilities when it comes to just creating for creating's sake. Today's video is about Vidu AI. They are an AI video generation platform. They have just added the ability to natively generate AI images as well. Their strong point these days is being able to use up to 10 reference images to create your videos. They have recently updated their app and their website, and we're going to go over both of them today. And we're going to start with the changes they've made to the app, because it is set up almost exactly like the Sora app. And if you're interested in Sora, and if you played around with that, and you've played with the cameos, you've certainly come up against violations of content guidelines and probably not been able to post the things that you want to post. Certainly when it comes to particular people or likenesses, this platform solves much of that, and I hardly ever get any kind of content violations anymore. And it's pretty amazing kind of stuff you can do. So we're going to spend a fair amount of time going through this app and showing you the ins and outs of it, how it is like the Sora app, and show you how it works. Now, there are definite downfalls on this, and I'm going to address them right up front, because I'm going to get all these people going, yeah, but the audio but the visual quality isn't. Yes, all of that is true. When you see the examples I'm showing you, you're going to see a wide range of video quality. Now, that can also be said of the Sora platform, but generally speaking, it's known for having very good cinematic quality, looks very professionally shot, and you can get those results with Vidu, as you will see. You can get fantastic results, but you can also get some that are a little maybe last gen in terms of the quality of the video, and the audio is really hit or miss, and it's mostly miss. So it provides a soundtrack, and when it comes to sound effects and music, it's okay, but when it comes to voiceover and lip sync, it's really weird, and the voices are hardly ever appropriate, and sometimes there's no voices at all, and sometimes the sound effects are way off in the background. So I'm telling you all of that up front because you're gonna say it in the comments if I don't, and I want to be really clear on my position on this. This is a super fun app. I have been immersed in it for the past 2.5 days since I discovered its Sora-like capabilities, and then I went over to the desktop version and saw what they had done there when it comes to start and end frames. It's going to blow your mind if you haven't seen it, and you've got to stick around for this stuff. It's good. Their models are good. They've gotten a lot better, and I'm very excited to show you this stuff, so I hope my enthusiasm has got you ready to watch some examples. So on the screen right now, you are seeing the Vidu app in action as you load it up. If you've been in the Sora app before, you know basically how it works, and that it is set up much like this. Much like TikTok, you can scroll through a bunch of community-made videos that you make, videos that others make, and along the bottom you have access to your tools, and along the top you can see it says short films, it says tutorials, and for you. So if you go to short films, these are films that go actually longer than the 8-7 seconds or whatever, and these are created on the desktop app, which we're going to show you, and that's why I'm so excited about it. It allows you to do much longer videos and tell a much more complete story. They have a whole tutorial section right here on the site. Granted, some of these are a little bit out of date, so I would stick to the ones that are the most recent here, and then of course the for you brings you back. But you'll notice these are very familiar characters. We're not getting all kinds of content screaming here. We're clearly able to do whatever. So let me show you how this works. Along the bottom here, you'll see the little icon next to home is references. You have tons of these references. Now, these are nothing more really than just images that are being referenced, just like you would use any other tech that uses reference images. They just happen to be stored in this accessible library, and these are community references and all kinds of different things, not just characters, but also you'll see like this purple aura effect and different locations, and it just goes on, and they're categorized by character, scene, animal, props, you know, anything that you might want in here. But in addition to all of their references, you also have your own references. And these can, again, just be as simple as a single image, but you can also do multiple images to give it more references for like a face and angles and things like that. So you can see I have various versions of me, I have various versions of Tracy, we have dog toys, characters, my studio, all kinds of other things that I can use as a setting. You're able to tag these as you make them so that you can search them better. You don't always have to go through the process of creating a reference like I'm about to show you how to do, because if you're not going to use that reference over and over, there's no need to go through this. This just makes it easier to access because you can use any image of anything. You can take a picture of it any time as a reference in your image the same way as you could use these. But these are just easier ways to access assets that you'll use on a regular basis. Let's say I wanted to create this as an asset. So I'm just going to set it on my counter here and click on where it says create references, and then click the big plus sign under main reference and click on take a photo. Obviously I could choose something from my album if I want to, but right now I'll go ahead and use that, confirm, and then I could take other shots for reference, like turn them to a side, for example, and take this photo, click on use photo and confirm. And now we've got two different angles of this particular mechanical hamster. So I'll just call this hamster. You can now add a default voice to any of these characters that you create. If I did add a voice, I'd want it to be something that was like a little squeaky voice. I'm going to click on lovely girl.
Absence sharpen love, present strengthens it.
Okay, maybe for a little hamster that would work. If you don't need a voice at all, you would just click down there at the lower left where it says no timbre. In this case, I'm just going to lower that back down and click on the next step. I could have tagged it as animal or toy or anything like that, but I'm clearly too lazy to do that. So now it has looked at this image and come up with its own description. A plush toy hamster with a brown and white fur, it has a pink nose, and so on. So now I confirm that is all accurate. And now that character is ready for me to use. So if I wanted to use that, I would just click on create. And now we've got so many options. We can, just like in Sora where you can add other cameos up here, if we click the plus sign, now I can add any of these references, like maybe another stuffed animal, this one here. So now I'm building the prompt down here. Hamster and this ViDu 3D are shopping at Walmart for soup. Now you'll notice it only uses 10 credits. It always only uses 10 credits. You don't have options for any more than that. You can't make it any longer or shorter. It is what it is, but you click that and in much less time than you get with Sora, you will have your video, but there still is a wait time. Here's our hamster and ViDu shopping in Walmart.
Look at all these soup options. I think we need more. Let's get a few different kinds. This is going to be delicious.
So not bad, no lip sync there, but we've got some character voices doing the dialogue, talking about buying soup. Here's one that I just did that I haven't even looked at yet.
I'm crouched in a corner at night.
So that is a great illustration of the problem with the audio here. It basically took my prompt, which was that SpongeBob SquarePants is crouched in a corner saying, I'm crouched in a corner at night. I was hoping for. Didn't get that. Instead, I got this sort of random child, not the child that we just did, just another random child with a random voice saying part of my quote. So therefore, there isn't much action going on there at all. It was a very simple quote, and he is crouched in the corner, and he's saying something, but you see what I'm saying. But you'll notice I didn't use a reference image or anything. It knew who SpongeBob SquarePants was, so that was kind of a nice surprise. So let me just show you a few examples of some of the stuff I've done here, and I'll show you how I did it. In this case, this was a remix of somebody else's video. Just like in Sora, if you see something you like, and I like to put myself in there, I want to modify it in this way, you can do that. In this case, they were just a family walking away from the house. I added the prompt, as the family walks away, the house collapses behind them in a massive cloud of dust and debris. And then it re-rendered the video, and now it has them walking away, and the house collapses, as you can see. Here's one that I created from another video. So let me show you how I did it. To recreate this image, this was the original. This was the girl walking down a path. This was just on the feed that I saw, and it shows you if I wanted to do it. This is a picture of the girl right there, and I gave it the prompt, she morphs into an octopus, and then that's what gave us this result here. Because you're able to add up to 10 reference images together, you can create these really interesting scenes with a lot of different people by using camera movements and so on. So here I added the Taylor Swift, I added this little shadow monster, I added Jennifer Aniston, and I added Meryl Streep from that movie, and she's hanging around. You can't really tell her likeness because I had her hanging upside down, and that was a tough call. But you can see that what I said was, Taylor turns on the bathroom sink and red juice comes out instead of water. She turns to see the dragon looking at her, and then the camera pans to Rachel eating grapes, sitting on a fancy marble toilet statue. Then the camera pans up to see the boss lady hanging from the rafters, and it got all of those prompts in just a few seconds. Some of the likenesses are better than others, some of them are terrible, and some of them in one video fantastic, not so great in another, just like all the other platforms, including Sora. Here I used my avatar, and I just said, Bob, fat, cartoon style, asking Marge Simpson for directions to the shrimp store. Now again, I didn't get any real dialogue in my response. I do have some words.
Excuse me, Marge, shrimp store?
So she doesn't say where it is, but he says, excuse me, Marge,
Thanks,
shrimp
Marge.
store.
Appreciate it.
And she apparently gives him some directions.
Excuse me, Marge, shrimp store?
But even with that, I am still really excited about this tech because now I can take this video, I can use another tool like Design's lip sync tool or whatever and fix broken lip sync issues and add lip sync where there isn't any. But for creating fun source video, this is a terrific tool, and it's so much cheaper than Sora, and you're not limited to 30 a day, and you can use any freaking character you can take a picture of. Here I said Tess is playing trumpet with Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, these are all really simple prompts that I've shown you, but when I was playing with Sora, I went over to ChatGPT and I created a prompt that basically let me put in a very simple idea, and then it expanded it into this really great Sora appropriate prompt with all the direction and the scene cuts and the whole thing. And I thought, I wonder what would happen if I took those Sora prompts and then fed them into ViDu. The phone app of ViDu has a very short amount of time for the videos. You don't have the 10 and 12 and 15-second options that you have over on Sora, so the whole story had to be kind of compressed. But first, let me show you the Sora version of this prompt.
I can't wait for the tooth fairy.
Get some sleep, sweetheart.
And now here's what ViDu did with it.
I can't wait for the tooth fairy.
I'm here for your tooth, Johnny.
So, again, terrible voiceover and stuff like that, but the visuals on this are crazy, and I love them. I love them. Here's another prompt I did in Sora for a disgusting cooking show. Here's the Sora version, and it's basically you are learning how to make cigarette butt smash burgers.
Welcome back to the show. Today, cigarette butt smash burgers. These add crunch and flavor. Gotta smash them to release the aromas. Oh man. That's the good tar.
Here's the ViDu version. Again, it's going to be shorter.
These add crunch and flavor. Gotta smash them to release the aromas. That's the good tar.
Now, I would say, like, with the bugs and stuff there, that's even more disgusting than the Sora one, and I was going for disgusting, make no mistake. And what's great, it's so easy to remix this. So if I want my friend Rob as this guy instead, I would just click on Remix, go to my references, and choose his picture here, and I don't even have to prompt it and say it's this guy instead. I would just click Go and let it happen. And then I get this.
These add crunch. Smash them now. Gotta smash them to release. That's good.
Now see, I couldn't do that over at Sora because I can only make a cameo of me and that's it. Now you can do characters and people are getting around all kinds of things. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing it, but over here it's just there. So I can change this to anyone I want to. Just yesterday morning I was having a conversation with my daughter and I was asking her about her Christmas list, and she said she wanted a cow and that my grandson wants a cow too, and could I just get one gift to split with them. I don't even know if she's serious, but when that kind of stuff shows up in my life, I find opportunities to make videos, and ViDu makes it so simple for me to crank out something like this and send it right back. That's obviously my daughter and my grandson on a cow with a bow on its head, which was made in just a couple of minutes after she sent me that text. Here's another more complex Sora prompt that I did for Tracy and her cameo about her preparing Thanksgiving dinner for 1,000 people. Again, this one's going to be longer than what you get with ViDu, but here's what Sora did with it.
All right, let's cook. Who put cranberry sauce in the mixers again? Dinner's ready.
And here's ViDu's version. What I've always loved about the ViDu platform is I just feel like it's one of the most creative in terms of what it comes up with. Now, the quality of the video in the Sora one is much more clean. It's much more polished. It looks like it was done in a studio. I get all that. The audio's better, clearly. It's more clear. They use her voice. Look, I'm not arguing that with you, but this is cool and creative and fun, and I freaking love it. I think this is probably more interesting on a social media feed to look at than the one that Sora did. I mean, there may be a couple of reasons for that. This is also amazing for virtual try-ons. This was the original on my feed. It was just a girl wearing this outfit. And what they had there originally was a picture of that girl. And this other picture, the reference image, is of the outfit. It's hard to see, but it's all the different pieces of the outfit, the shoes and the skirt, and it's all just separate. It's not on a model. I just changed out this one picture of Amber. Again, didn't type any prompt. And then it gives us this. The likeness is amazing. Until she turns away, and then when she looks back, different girl. So I've seen that happen a few times too with these ViDu videos. If you lose the face for a second, it's gone. It comes back as somebody else. We had this picture of this girl eating at a little cafe wearing this outfit, those sunglasses, and so on. Just changed out another picture of Amber. And now it's not the exact same camera angle or anything like that, but it's the same scene. It's the same spot, definitely the same vibe. Captures her likeness great, and there is nothing wrong with this quality. This is as good as Sora or anything else, and in some cases I think it's better. This was the video that was on the feed of this guy catching a fish and then taking a bite out of it. And so you can see his little image is there. I hit remix and just typed, instead of a fish, it's a manta ray, just like you would do in Sora, or even runway a left to change the video with just a text prompt. So now he's standing on the beach and this giant manta ray comes up and he does take a bite out of it. You can see, I mean, it's a little bit messy. It's not as clean as the one with just the fish, but you can see how easy it is to experiment. Here I took one of the references of Amber and a reference of the cat and said Amber Princess is cuddling with Lucy, who is the size of a horse. So now how fun is this? And it looks good. I admit to an obsession with doing AI destruction and simulating all kinds of bad things happening to people. I think it's just part of exploring my shadow side. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, I have this reference image of this alien version of me. And it says he's standing on the edge of a cliff when a boulder comes out of nowhere and knocks him off the edge, and the camera wide shot tracks him as he falls. So here's what we have. He's up on the cliff. The rock hits him. It's the falling physics that are weird, not just with this model, but lots. I've really tried a lot. They tend to throw them back up in the air like that. Now, I didn't prompt for any sort of gore or anything like that. It hits him and he falls and the camera tracks him. The ViDu model is amazing at following camera directions, any kind of pan, zoom, dolly, any of that, it does fantastic. As you saw when we were panning around the bathroom and looking up at the ceiling, followed the camera directions completely. Here's another version of this same prompt. I've got this meme kid, Bad Luck Brian, standing on the edge of a cliff and so on. So he gets hit with the rock in the back, but he does this kind of weird little dance, and then he sort of falls. But then we kind of get the tracking and all of that. But even those are some of the better examples of the falling. Check this out. Albert Einstein getting hit by a rock, falling. And they just tend to float or fly or whatever. So we're just kind of waiting for a parachute to open at that point. Now you'll see here that we do have some creation failed. Unfortunately, I have no access to what was the prompt that failed, what was the image that may have screwed this up. Like, I don't have a way to go back and figure out what went wrong, and that would be a really nice little addition. Now in this case, I had a picture of Saul Goodman and a picture of our kitchen. When you use a real life room like that, and you want to place them in there, it doesn't put them on the picture like it's painted on top of it. It uses that picture for inspirations. It says, on the kitchen floor, we see Saul counting money out loud, looking up at you for a reaction. Now, looking up at you for a reaction. I emphasize that prompt because listen to the voiceover here. So he's sitting on the floor, and it's got elements of my kitchen.
Looking up for your reaction.
So all he says is looking up for my reaction, which was basically the prompt. But I could go in with the lip sync tool and get him to say whatever I want, go find a voice clone, whatever I want to do. Again, I've got this video created very quickly and easily of him sitting on my kitchen floor, or at least a close proximity. Like, that is our tree, that's our sink. It's just got stuff in different places. So the original video, obviously, these two girls playing the guitar on stage, and I just simply switched them out for a picture of Amber and a picture of Tess. So now they're up there rocking out on stage. Quite amazing. The model, which is also used on the desktop platform, is also super good for like morphing transformation from just a text description. For example, she morphs into a sloth was the prompt here. Yeah. Here I tried to create a character based on my face where I was really exaggerated like this. Yeah, it ends up just looking like me anyways. That's just kind of depressing. But here I had me and Amber as the reference images, and I said Jaja, which is my character there, morphs into Amber Kitty. So they're not really in the scene at the same time, but these are the reference images that I have given the instructions to. So we start with me there, or that version of me, and then just sort of amber. I don't know what that screeching sound was for, but did a great job of that transformation. Here I plastered the ViDu Media logo on the side of a cruise ship, or inspired its design. And all I did was just load in my logo and say the logo inspired the design of a massive cruise ship crossing the ocean. This was the original video found on my feed of this cute little kid just walking around a Christmas town. I click the remix button and I say, he has followed by Bigfoot. I meant to type, he is followed by Bigfoot, but I typed, he has followed by Bigfoot. And we still managed to get this. But he said, he has followed by Bigfoot, which I didn't need that to happen at all, but again, I can fix that later. Some of their characters are like super cute, and it's really fun to have them interact with a real person. For example, this one, this little cute little monster, even called Little Monster and me with earbuds in my ear. Little Monster and Bob Buds are hiding under a blanket with a flashlight reading Fox and Socks. Here's what it gave me.
Fox wearing socks.
Shh. We have to be quiet reading under the blanket.
Read another chapter, please.
One more chapter.
So again, the lip sync's all off, read another chapter instead of read another chapter. To me, the whole audio thing seems like a placeholder feature for them. Like, they're gonna get it better, but in the meantime, here's something. That's kind of what it feels like, because obviously this won't compete with Sora and whatever's to come after that in terms of the audio piece of it. But if they get that right and leave the creative options that we have here, then I think we really got something. Particularly when you add the functionality of the desktop app, because then you can extend them even longer than you can do here. Now, before we leave the app, if I wanted to access something that wasn't a saved reference, but instead something on my phone, I would just click the little image there, and then I could add anything like this picture of Amber holding the squid. I could use that as a starting image, but I can add more elements to this. So we actually have more than just the ability to choose the image. We actually can change it and do some basic editing so that it's appropriate for use as a reference in our prompt. Like, we can crop it out. If we only want the octopus, for example, we could just zoom in on the octopus, but I actually want the whole image here. And if we wanted to add another element that wasn't already a reference, we could just click on image again, load anything from our camera that we want. Like, let's say this dog toy. And we just keep adding those images until we're done. And then we click on the check mark. And now we're brought back to this interface, and they appear there just like they were references, and we can reference them the same way, except now they're called image 1 and image 2. So the one with Amber and the octopus is image 1. So what I prompted is image 1, which is Amber, holding an octopus, just clarifying that I do want that in there, on Santa Monica Pier, talking with an anthropomorphic, oversized image 2, which would be the dog toy.
Look at this beautiful octopus I found. Isn't it amazing?
Incredible.
Its colors
Its
are so
tentacles
vibrant
feel
and it's so
squishy
friendly.
and
Do you want to
cool.
pet it gently?
So it's weird. It's like placeholder for somebody. It's almost like they've created the clip and now they're going to send it over to the production company to get the ADR and the right stuff. They have like these audio notes on the clip so that they know what to do.
Look at this beautiful octopus I found. Isn't it amazing?
Incredible.
Its colors are so
tentacles
vibrant
feel
and it's so
squishy
friendly.
and
Do you want to
cool.
pet it gently?
Do you want to pet it gently? Speaking of content guideline violations and so on, you'll notice that it really allows you to do some interesting things without flagging a lot of stuff using the characters that are right there in the app. I've turned down the audio on this particular clip for a reason. I mean, you can do some really weird stuff, or you can just do normal stuff. Or something in between. So just like Sora, they've got a little bit of community building that they're trying to do here, at least in terms of using likes and stars and shares. They don't have comments at this point. I don't know if they're going to add those or not, but it is really fun to kind of scroll through these things and see who has similar creative sensibilities as you, and then maybe kind of do some work on top of theirs, and then get going back and forth on just doing fun creative things. But there is tons of fun to be had with this ViDu app, and that's just the app version. Now, let's take a little break, maybe step away, hit pause, get a drink, do whatever you got to do, and then I'm going to show you the desktop app. So here is ViDu's desktop version, and at the surface it looks like, you know, a ton of others. You got all the templates where you can do goofy stuff and, you know, all that stuff. It does all that, okay? We won't go over all of that. I want to show you the main improvements here. The ViDu Q2 model is capable of a lot. And as you've seen, it does a great job with prompt adherence. It creates some beautiful looking videos if prompted properly. Desktop version just gives you more options to create things like what you just saw and more flexibility. So reference to video is pretty much what we were looking at here. If we click on reference to video, here we would choose our reference images that we saw on the phone before that we'd already pre-made. And here we can upload any image that we have on our computer. And then here's where we would put the prompt. We choose our various models. We have Q2, Q1. I'm really only looking at Q2 for today. You have duration times from 2 to 8 seconds. The dubbing mode is new. That's where you get the sound effects and voice. So if you type in prompts for speaking, sometimes you'll get them, sometimes you won't, but it's still there as an option. The Q2 model only supports 1080p, so you get really good high quality, and then you've got your aspect ratio choices here and however many generations you want. The off-peak mode is interesting just in case you don't want to use credits, for example. You can go to off-peak mode and you will get your generations for no credits, and you just wait longer. Having said that, this is a very cost-efficient platform. You're getting generations for way cheaper than just about anywhere else. Something that is new to the platform is, in addition to creating just the videos with the references, you can create your images natively within the platform. You don't have to go to another image generation platform to do that. For example, in this image here, I say Bob on green, which is that character, and then Ann Presley too, which is this character. If I mouse over here, you can see the characters that I use, the Bob on green and then Presley with 3 different angles, are at the drive-through menu of a Taco Bell, and they are looking at the menu. So it created this still image, which then I can use as a reference image or a starting image for image to video, or a reference to still another image. This was generated within the platform. Bob on green is driving Presley into the drive-thru of a Taco Bell, orders 3 tacos, gets them, hands them to her, and she eats them. As you'll hear, the audio is just as goofy as it was on the phone app.
Tacos, please. So delicious. This taco is amazing. So good. Can we return? Thanks so much.
And here's another take on it.
3 tacos, please.
So there's an extra me back there, weird in the background.
These tacos are so good.
Again, totally not perfect. Now, I showed you so many reference to video examples in the app, I don't really need to go through that again. Now, it's here in image to video that has the feature that I'm really excited about sharing with you the most. So I'm going to skip it for now and go to text to video so I can just show you that is something that now that they have added. The Q2 model is extremely sophisticated, and if you know how to prompt it properly, you can get some amazing things. I not only highly recommend, but I absolutely demand that you click on this user guide option here so you know how to prompt this thing properly, because it makes such a huge difference in what you get back when you know how the model likes to respond and has stuff set up. It can make all the difference in the world. Having said that, I'm about to plug prompts that were created for Sora into here to see what it'll do. So do as I say, not as I do. Seriously though, I will often take prompts that were designed for another model and throw them on top of a new model just to see what will happen, and that's what I did here. Like I said earlier, I created a conversation with ChatGPT, which basically allows me to put in a very simple prompt and it comes back with a Sora-friendly prompt. Let's create a whole new one for this example. I'm going to say, man is blowing a bubble with bubble gum and it gets so big he floats away over snowy mountains. Feed that prompt to ChatGPT and let it come back with this prompt here. Earlier, I had given it an instruction to create 8-second prompts instead of the 15-second prompt, so it would maybe fit inside of an 8-second video. So here we have the prompt. It breaks it up into 4 different shots, creates a style and a tone and everything. So we're just going to copy that and we're going to go over to the text to video section and just paste that in exactly as it is. This Pro mode only works with the Q1 model, so we're not even going to look at that today. I'm going to choose 8 seconds because that's what I told it. We'll keep it at 16:9 and we'll give it 2 chances to do it, and you'll see it's only 30 credits to do this. So let's see what happens. I popped up and said less than a minute for generation time. You compare that with everybody else, and you'll know that that is something special, especially with the quality that we get. Now, we'll see how it follows the prompt. But having said that, there's a much better way to get longer videos, and that's what we're going to do next, right after we look at this. Okay, this actually was less than a minute for these to be done. Okay, 8-second hyperreal lighthearted scene, man blowing bubble. Let's see what happens. Before we play this, just note there's no sound generation when we're working in here. That is with the reference to video stuff. Here we just get the video, but he blows the bubble. And interesting, he ends up in a bubble. It's in the neighborhood of the idea we were looking for. Let's try this one. Okay, he blows the bubble again. We get that. It's kind of the same thing. We blow this other outer bubble, which he then ends up in. But again, we're asking it to follow all of these instructions within 8 seconds, which probably led to the balloon and all of that other stuff. So what if we wanted to do this right? The best way to do this would be using a technique called start and end frames in a sequence. We have a man standing there and he pulls out a piece of gum and looks at it. So we have a start frame of him standing there, we have a second frame of him holding it. Then the next frame will be him having a bubble, and then the next image will be him floating in the air, and then we join these all together. Bob, that all sounds conceptual. Can you show me? Yes. Now that we can switch to AI image, we can create all of these images right here and then put them together and link not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 10 together to create a really long and consistent video. Let's do it right now. We're going to switch to AI video. To make sure that the man stays consistent in every frame, I'm going to use a reference. So I'll choose reference here. I'll just choose Bob with glasses and done. And I'll say Bob Glasses is standing on a snowy mountain waving to the camera holding a backpack. So let's create a couple of options of that. And then while that's going, I'm going to say he is standing on a snowy mountain holding a pack of bubble gum and get that going. So here's a couple of options for our starting image. I like this one just fine. I'm waving and it looks nice and friendly. So now we're getting ready to have him holding a pack of gum. I'm realizing as I generated this picture of him holding the gum that he's wearing a different shirt, and that is because my Bob Glasses model has me wearing different clothes in every picture because I was thinking it was going to be trained on the face. So if I want him to truly be consistent, clothing and everything, we need to use basically a single image or a series of images where I'm wearing the same thing. So because I'm realizing that's going to be a problem for me in the future as well, and I'm just now running into it for the first time, I'm actually going to go in there and change this reference image and get rid of those other images because they're just kind of screwing up the works. So all I have to do is click on the edit icon there, and I'm just going to go in here and delete this one and this one. Because this was actually created before they had the voice, there wasn't a voice here. I could choose a timbre here. I'll just click comedian. It doesn't matter. It's not going to sound anything like me at this point anyway. Click on next step. Confirm all this. And now when I use Bob Glasses here, it should be consistent. Let me reprompt this one about holding the gum so I'm wearing the right outfit. Meanwhile, I'll get this one going and say close-up of Bob Glasses is putting a piece of gum in his mouth. So now same basic outfit there. Pulls out gum. Now we're going to prompt him to put it in his mouth. I forgot to prompt him on the snowy mountain, so I got to redo that again. And let me also just say that the ideal way to do this is to use something where the background does not change at all. Perhaps use an edit model like Nano Banana Pro or some of the new Flux stuff or Seed Dream so that I just change him and his position and what he's doing and that the mountains in the background stay the same. In this case, I'm generating a new image every time, so the mountains are going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of creative camera work to maybe try and work around that, or we may have some morphy mountains in the background. In the meantime, here he is putting the gum in his mouth on the mountains, which is what I wanted. So we're going to keep him standing on a snowy mountain, blowing a huge bubble with his gum. So now I've changed it to say Bob Glasses is in the snowy mountains being lifted into the air because the bubble he is blowing with his gum is so big it lifts him off the ground. So we'll get that going, and let's see what it gives us here before we prompt that last image. In the meantime, I'm going to download these images so that I can easily use them. So I'm just going to download without watermark, of course. We'll use this one, and this one, and this one. I'll use this one, and we'll try this one. And now the last one, he's in the snowy mountains floating high into the sky because the bubble he is blowing with his gum is so big it lifts him off the ground about 100 feet. So we'll get that, and then we should have all the images we need. Okay, neither of these is going to work because I have been cut in half. So I modified the prompt to say that the bubble is, number one, it's gigantic, and that also says we clearly see his whole body as he kicks his feet. So let's see if we get what we're looking for there. All right, perfect. Now I'm not wearing long pants, but I don't care. We're going to leave it at that. I'll download this one here. They both look basically the same. Now we're going to go back over to AI video, switch to AI video, and we're already on the image to video tab. We're just going to load these images in order. I can just click and drag from a directory, which you can't see, but I am dragging them. There's the first one with me waving. Then for frame 2, it's me pulling it out of my pocket. Frame 3 is me putting it in my mouth. Frame 4 is blowing that first little bubble. Frame 5 is the very big bubble. And then in this case, frame 6 is me floating off into the air. In between each of these images, we have where we will prompt what we want to happen and how long it will take between them. Is that not the coolest thing? So, for example, here between the wave and the reaching into his pocket, I'm going to say, as the camera pushes in, man waves at camera, then reaches into his pocket and pulls out a pack of gum. So that's all that's going to happen in this first 5-second segment. Now I can make it 2 seconds all the way up to 8 seconds if I want to. We don't need more than 5 seconds for him to wave and reach into his pocket. In fact, I'd wager to say that we only need 4 seconds for that. So now in this second block here, between where he grabs the gum and puts it in his mouth, I'll simply say, the man opens the package of gum, pulls out a piece of gum, and puts it in his mouth. How long should that take? Well, he's got to unwrap the package and everything. We're going to give him 7 seconds to do this. Now let's go on to the third transition. The man puts gum in his mouth, chews, and blows a bubble. 5 seconds is a very short amount of time to be able to do that, but that's exactly how much time we're going to give him to do it. And then we'll move on to the next one. We got the little bubble becoming a big bubble. So we'll just say camera pulls back to reveal the bubble getting very large. We'll just take that down to 4 seconds. I'm just arbitrarily choosing these numbers. In this last one, I'm adding camera dollies around the man and tracks him as he floats into the air as the bubble carries him away. Now this camera dolly is something that I meant to do in my earlier prompts because it allows for camera movement to make up for the fact that the mountains in the background might change. So if the camera is sort of moving around the subject, then the camera can shift to another set of mountains rather than have the mountains right behind him morph. But because I haven't even rendered anything yet, I can go back and modify these before I hit go. Because the other way to do this would be to render each of these videos separately and then piece them together in an editor. And you might render one out and go, oh, I should have made the camera dolly there, and you wasted that generation. I luckily have the opportunity to go back and fix that. So I'm going to actually click on camera dollies, go back to this prompt here. So I'm going to say camera dollies and pulls back. And then in this one here, camera dollies as the man opens the package of gum. For this one where he puts it in his mouth, I'm going to say camera pushes in as man puts the gum in his mouth, and that might distract from what might be going on in the mountains in the background. And then go back to the first one. I think I need to do it here too, because the mountains are definitely different here. So let's just see. So now we have an animation that's going to be a total of 25 seconds. We basically created the storyboard, which we've linked together with these prompts. We've been able to be specific with the timing and everything. There are 2 different creation modes. I'm going to trigger both of them to see which one does the best for us. There's flash mode, which obviously faster, 94 credits, get that going. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on cinematic mode, 203 credits, and click on that, and we'll check back when they're done. The flash version's complete. Let's check it out. All right, so he's waving, and the dollying strategy worked because the mountains didn't morph. It's just like the camera's moving around, so we don't get any weird anomalies there. He is opening up the pack of gum, which did disappear oddly. Remember, this is the flash model. He got it in his mouth. He didn't put the whole piece of gum in his mouth, but now he's blowing the bubble. It's getting bigger and bigger. We got the camera dollying. Solves that mountain issue for sure, and now he's floating up into the air. So that worked exactly as we were hoping, right? I mean, it's not perfect, but that was the flash model. Here's the cinematic one. Let's see if we can tell any differences here. Ooh, yeah, I don't like that. All right, cinematic pulled out. We had a lot of crap there. That didn't look good. So now we're pulling out the gum. A lot more camera movement follows the gum, but it's kind of, yeah, that doesn't look very good. It looks kind of crunchy, right? And we got that, and it's just, I mean, we've got what we wanted to, but it also seemed like the mountains were a little bit weird. I'm having to check myself here to make sure that that is in fact cinematic, and it is, but I think we can both agree that this flash version, in this case anyway, flash was much cleaner and did exactly what we wanted it to do without all the weird visual anomalies. So I do think that was an anomaly, but it definitely was an anomaly. So that's all very well and good. Let's do something really weird, surrealistic, and possibly disturbing. If you live in this AI video world, you've seen a bunch of weird stuff, I'm sure. And if you're on Facebook and you're involved with some of these groups that are dedicated to weird or crazy AI, then, you know, you'll see how weird it is. There are some techniques that I see there that really fascinate me and that I'd like to be able to try here. And one of them is like moving through these corridors where there's just all this garbage and weird people and creatures, and the camera just keeps moving through, and it just is this surreal, disturbing thing. And so I want to try and duplicate something like that here. To test that out, I'm back over here in the image generation part. I'm actually going to go to text to image. I have this prompt that describes this dark hallway with lots of weird people and half mutants and garbage and trash and just all kinds of disturbing imagery here. I'm going to let it create 4 versions of it here. The aspect ratio I do want to be cinematic, and I'm actually going to even create 4 more so that we have options. I have no idea what to expect here. This may not be the look I'm going for, but I should be able to use them as an example of what I want to do. Okay, well, here's what they gave me. They aren't varied enough for me. So now let's test this new feature, which I just discovered. It would have been great with the mountains because it looks like they have some sort of an edit model here. So now it sounds like I can just type what I want changed. So for example, in this one, I'm going to say the walls are made of brick and the lighting is red, and just see how it changes it. This will allow me to demonstrate what I want. but it's not exactly the look I was going for. So now we got some images to choose from here. This isn't the exact look I was going for in mind, but I can absolutely demonstrate what I was talking about here. Let's go back to AI video. We're back in image to video. I'm gonna click this trash can here and clear this job out completely. So now I'm just gonna save out a few of these. Even though they're similar, all the people are different, so it's gonna work out for me just fine. We'll do 2 of these, and then we'll grab this one. I'm gonna do the same thing I did here. I'm just gonna drag these images right onto the section here to define the frames. And for the most part, I think I can leave the prompt the same for all of these. So in this case, the prompt I'm going to use is camera tracks down the hall as all the sad, depressed people reach out for help. So I've copied that prompt and I'm just gonna paste it into each of these here. I'm gonna leave the default 5 seconds. That should be enough time to do what I need to do here, and that's it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on flash since it's much faster here, and it will definitely demonstrate the effect. We're going to get that going. Okay, well, this is not what I wanted. I wanted the camera to be moving, and I probably should have prompted that much differently, because what we've got here is basically the people all morphing and the scenes morphing, but it's just the same camera. It's almost like time has passed in this one particular location. It's not the effect I was looking for. It is an effect, but it's not the one I want, and I am determined to get the one I want. I'm going to click on recreate. I've made the prompt much more specific. POV drone shot of camera flying through the halls of an underground shelter as all the sad, depressed people reach out for help as you fly past them. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to replace this prompt in all of these sections again and get this going. Their Q2 model shows a ton of promise. It is great at prompt adherence, and the output at 1080p is amazing. And now that you have the ability to create these much longer videos with consistent characters, it is becoming more and more powerful tool. They get this audio stuff in order, and we've really got something. If this is the type of tech you like to keep up to date on, well, me too. So why not subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that already? Because this is the type of stuff we like to play with all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you, and I